If there's one thing you can say about Anbernic, is that they are never short of a new release for a retro gaming handheld. And today we're going to be looking at this tiny thing right here, the RG Nano. Now, the RG Nano sits in a very unique place in the retro gaming market. There's not really many other consoles like it from the big manufacturers, Retroid, AYN, or any of those manufacturers that seem to go toe-to-toe with Anbernic. The closest thing we get are gimmick items or something like the Pocket Sprite. So when Anbernic announced the RG Nano, it was an interesting announcement, a bit of a surprise, but it seemed like a great opportunity as well. Because as interesting as the Pocket Sprite was, it never really appealed to me. I couldn't really see the purpose for it, and the price for what it was a little bit too steep. And Anbernic did what they always do best. They came in with a similar idea, but offered it cheaper. But honestly, there's so many things about the RG Nano which just stand out for me as a quality item compared to something like the Pocket Sprite or some of the other options which seem a little bit more like a gimmick or a keychain item. Now yes, you can put the RG Nano on a keychain, but instantly it looks like it has that same quality you can come to expect from Anbernic consoles. Visually, it looks like a miniaturized version of the RG35XX, a fantastic vertical console which feels like a modern day representation of the Game Boy. The RG Nano manages to offer the same 4 face buttons, start and select, and a D-pad, but on top of that it even squeezes in L and R shoulder buttons, which are actually pretty comfortable to use considering the size. The RG Nano is rounded off with a USB 3 port on the top, a power button on the side with SD slot, and a speaker on the bottom. But what stands out most about the RG Nano, especially when you get it in your hands, is the pure quality feel, because this thing is made of aluminium, something I really didn't expect for such a small, niche looking device. The RG Nano absolutely oozes build quality, and I'm pretty sure that Anbernic could have gotten away with just a plastic shell, or going a little bit lighter in the build quality considering it is a nano micro device. And whereas usually Anbernic do offer metallic options for the devices, they aren't usually the initial version that's released. Normally we'll get a plastic version and it'll be followed up by a metallic version, but straight out the gate the RG Nano is aluminium and it feels amazing. It's got a wonderful weightiness to it, it just feels solid and really well made. Considering this is a micro device which sits in a niche category, when you're actually playing it, it feels so much bigger than its physical size.
That's what she said!
But let's not get too carried away, for as amazing as the RG Nano does feel, it is still a micro device and it isn't going to be for everybody. As a matter of fact, it's not going to be for every single play scenario. If you are looking to get one single retro gaming handheld, you're probably going to want to look to get something a bit bigger that will be able to satisfy all gaming scenarios that you would want. Because for as mighty as the RG Nano is, and I'll even go so far as to say for as perfect as it is for its size, it just has some natural limitations that are impossible to get around. The pure and simple size of the RG Nano device just means it's not made for long play sessions. It's also obviously limited in the amount of games that it can play. But if you've got small enough hands or your hands aren't going to suffer from cramp, then the one remaining limitation is simply the size of the screen. None of the games that play on the RG Nano were designed to play on such a small screen size, which means that the pixels are all squished down to fit into that screen. Which means that inevitably, especially for fast-paced games, there's a bit of an illusion of screen tearing. Now I don't actually think screen tearing is going on, but I just think with the compression of the actual pixels trying to fit into such a small screen, it's not quite as smooth an experience as if you had a native display or something which was more relative to the actual size of the games that you were trying to emulate. But let's be honest, if you're looking at buying an RG Nano, you're looking at buying it for a very specific reason, because it's a tiny, awesome little beast. It's massively unique and it's actually incredibly fun to play. Emulation on the RG Nano amazingly does a fantastic job all the way up to PlayStation 1. There's truly something amazing about being able to play PlayStation 1 games on such a tiny device. Honestly, I didn't really expect for it to feel so cool playing Gran Turismo on a tiny screen in my hands like that, but there's something just so unique and so amazing about it. On top of that, the RG Nano comes packed with emulation for the Poké Mini and all the games that came with it, which for me finally gave me my first opportunity at playing the Poké Mini and all the games that it has. Something I've always wanted to do but has been a bit out of my reach considering the price tag of those items. And to play it on something as tiny as the RG Nano just feels amazing. It feels natural, it feels at home, it feels as close as what I would have expected it to feel like playing on the original Poké Mini. Now the UI on the RG Nano isn't Anbernic's usual UI that you see for the Linux consoles. It's a UI that reminds me of the type of UI we used to see on much older devices. But it's not limiting in any way. It gives you everything you need, gives you access to all the games that you want, and it works well on the small screen. On top of that, navigating the UI is actually really easy. The power button comes into play a lot. Tapping the power button once brings you up a lot of options like like volume, brightness, save states, quitting the game, and everything like that. And it's surprisingly easy to use. As a matter of fact, it's actually easier than some other options out there, like the 353 PS, for example. And as usual, with all Anbernic devices, you can get the RG Nano completely packed with games, meaning that all you need to do is switch on the console, select your emulator of choice, pick a game, and just start playing immediately. Honestly, considering the RG Nano is a massively niche object, it's very unique, it's not for everybody, and it only really satisfies a certain aspect of the market. Considering all of that, it's truly blown me away. I'm not saying it's for everybody, it's certainly not for everybody, but for those people who are interested or like the idea of something unique, fun, something that you can get out your pocket and people will be like, what the hell is that? That is so cool. For people who want to get the experience of playing PlayStation 1 games on such a tiny device and it really feel like a truly great experience, the RG Nano is absolutely fantastic and has completely blown me away. It might not be the retro gaming console I always go to use, but it'll be the retro gaming console I always have in my pocket just in case. If you want to get your hands on one yourself, then check out the link in the description below. But if you want to check out something a little bit bigger, then check out this review right here.